In IC2, we're creating the drawing for problem 1-15 in the AutoCAD handout sheet. And this is basically a unusually shaped box with some angles with an H in the middle. Now, one thing to note as you take a look at this, if we look at this line segment over here, we see that it's 3.25 inches away from this, but we don't have an actual height of that line. So let's look at how we're going to solve this drawing or create this drawing. So we're going to start over here on the left, and I'm going to make the 3-inch line all the way on the left hand side, this line here. So I'm going to click here, and it looks like it didn't save the line after I moved off the page. So I'm going to click here, I start, I get a tracking line, and I simply type 3. Now, we know that this line is 3.25 inches away. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this line, the original line we just created, click on the center grip. That starts a move operation. Well, we don't want to make a move, we want to actually do a copy. So if we just type C and then hit enter, the move becomes a copy. And if you look in the upper right hand crosshair, you'll see that there are two little circles, two solid circles. Those circles tell us that we're doing a copy operation. So once I see that tracking line, all I have to do is type 3.25, and that'll place this line at 3.25 inches away from our starting line. Now, the next thing we want to do, so that we can finish this drawing, is we're going to go to our polar angles and our polar tracking. And if we click on the downward arrow, we're going to set our polar tracking up. Remember, initially I had you put it in as 90, 180, 270, 360. I'm going to now have you click, and I'm not sure if that, I guess that did take. I set it up for 45, 90, 135, 180, etc. So let's see what we're able to do now. So I'm going to go back to the line. I'm going to start at my bottom line. We know we have this horizontal line that needs to be 2.25 inches. So we're going to put that in. And then I'm going to go ahead and find my 45-degree tracking line. And once I do, I'm going to slide my crosshairs up till I get this intersection point. Once I get that intersection point, I'm going to click on my left mouse button, and that will complete that section. I'm going to do the same thing on the top. So we'll come up here, move over by 2.25. And in that case, I was off. If you can see, I was off tracking. The mouse moved a little bit. I'm going to type U for undo. Start over. Go back to my tracking line. Type 2.25. And again, from there, I'm going to find that 45-degree tracking line. Come down to the intersection. Hit my right mouse button. So from here, we can do either a lengthen and stretch, or I believe a trim will work. Yes. All right, so let's do a trim on the top, and then we'll talk about the stretch or lengthen. So here we're going to start the trim command, we click on the pair of scissors up here. And once you do that, well, if you look down your text box, you'll see trim, and then you can enter cutting edges, and there are a couple of other different modes that you have. Trim has been changed a little bit from the previous revision of AutoCAD. I think it started in AutoCAD 2024, where you used to have to define cutting edges. Now if you just hover over things, if you're able to trim it, it'll just show up as disappeared. So when I hover over this line, I can see that red X pops up, and then the line goes dark. If I then click on it, that line goes away. So that's one way to delete the line. The other way is to just do a stretch. Now if I click here, I can then click on the end line here and then stretch it back. There is a problem with this. If you stretch it back, you can see that the center grip is about the same place as the crossing point. And it may be exactly the same place, but it might not be. So to be sure, I'm going to just move this line up a little bit and shorten it. Now you can see the center grip moved away from this intersection. So, and I can expand it to see this a little better. I can click on this end point and then slide it up. And again, remember, the control button will allow you to switch between lengthen or stretch. And when you just do lengthen, you will move only on the axis. So here you can see I'm on stretch, so I can stretch that anywhere. If I hit the control key, now I can only move, even if I go way over here, I can really only move up that axis. So I'm going to move up the axis to the intersection point, hit my left mouse button. Now I've created the outside of this drawing. Now to create the inside, well, first I'm going to hit escape, so I'm not selecting that section anymore. Again, we're going to use snap from, and we can see this H starts at 0.75 inches vertically and 0.75 inches horizontally. So we're going to click on line, snap from, and now I was looking for a base point. So for the base point, we click on this lower corner, the intersection, and now we have to type in the offset. So we have to type at 0.75, comma 0.75, and that'll start us at the correct point where the H begins. So now we know the H is 2 inches high because it goes from, sorry, not 2 inches. It goes from 0.75 inches to 2.25 inches, so it's 1.5 inches high. So we're going to get our tracking line, type 1.5. We're going to move over to the right by 0.5. And again, I hit a comma there instead of a decimal point, 0.5. We're going to come down by 0.5. And I believe all these dimensions are 0.5. Go over to the right by 0.5. We can go up by 0.5. I can also just do this. So get that, or get a tracking reference line from that other point. Move over by 0.5 again. I need to come down by 1.5. Now I can come up here and get a tracking line off of this corner to the point where I get an intersection. To continue the line, I can then go up by 0.5. Again, if I want to grab the tracking line, you don't have to do this, but I'm just showing this to you now because you will eventually get real comfortable doing these things, and it will make drawing lines easier in certain cases. Again, in this case, it doesn't really provide you a whole lot of insight or expediency. It doesn't make it any quicker. It's just as easy to type the 0.5 inches. But I do want to show you that it's possible. And then I could come back down here, again, bring my tracking line out, get the intersection, and then finally go back to the corner and finish the H, end the drawing, and now I can save it. Again, I'll save as. And in my directory, this is 1-15. I'll hit save, and IC2 is now complete.